Marriage counselors of Reddit. What's the stupidest reason a couple has made an appointment? My specialty is children and families. But during the pandemic I was assigned whatever came in because it has been super busy. One lady called and spoke with me first about how her husband was horrible at communication and never listened to her. She asked for a couples session. As soon as she ambushed her husband with a "there is a therapist on the line that wants to speak with you," her husband screamed. "You called a therapist because I don't want to paint the house purple." She wanted me to convince him to paint the house purple, and like any normal human who sees colors, he refused to listen to her. Oh yes, the superpower of having eyeballs. I work with a lot of kids, and I see far more stupid reasons that couples have not scheduled an appointment. Parents spill their guts while explaining what's wrong with their children, and 90% of the time it's the parents' marriage causing issues with the child/family. This is totally not a catch-all statement because many children have true behavioral/emotional challenges separate from their parents' marriage, but at the same time, if you feel like your child is struggling and you have tried everything, maybe try marriage counseling. Oh, this is so true. LCSW here, worked with kiddos and families for a good chunk of my career, and 95% of the time, if the kid is having issues, there's a parenting issue or a marriage/partner problem. Why are there so many terrible parents out there? Why are there so many parents who don't know how to parent? It's a cycle. Children are raised by parents who do not know how to parent or are unable to parent. These children then go into to raise a family of their own. Intergenerational trauma is very real. It can be broken but is a tough endeavor. This is why my wife and I decided to not have kids. Both of our families have long histories of trauma and substance abuse. I myself have been sober for 20 years after spending about 8 years badly strung out in my 20s. We are near 50 and are in a far healthier place than the first half of our lives, but even still we just didn't want to continue the curse. Get a couple of doggos and be nice to them. 2 happy cats and they live like kings. As all cats should. It's always the dishes. I don't see couples anymore because I cannot have one more conversation with adult human beings about the various philosophies of dishwashing. As a younger person, I want to say that the game is rigged. We've learned from our parents, don't rush into marriage, test out sexual compatibility, check and check, but do you know how long it takes to establish dishwashing compatibility? I can't trust anyone else in my house to wash the dishes correctly, they always miss something. Whenever my boyfriend does dishes, I always rewash most of them cause he always misses something. We will eat sauce-based food and stack the plates and my GF won't even clean the bottom of the plates, makes me irrationally mad. Nothing irrational about getting mad about that. If you don't clean the bottom then next in the stack is dirty. Perfectly rational. #lawyer up. r/relationship advice. Couldn't decide on which chicken to buy for their chicken farm. Like which specific chicken, or which breed of chicken to raise in general. We have 6 chickens. I wanted 2 ornamental chickens, funny looking but questionable egg layer, and my husband was like, why though, but he loves them now. He enjoys laying in the hammock and watching them with their chicken pompadours run around. He posts more pics of these chickens than the regular ones, heck, even more than our kids. That's hilarious, but hey, if that's a big decision in their lives, I'm glad they had a facilitated conversation about it. You would be surprised at the importance of knowing what kind of chicken you're getting. A dispute about chickens led to the birth of one of the most famous contracts cases of all time, taught to law students across America every year, which outlines the methods courts will use to interpret a term in a contract. I present to you Frig Element Importing Co. v. BNS International Sales Corp. A buddy of mine was in therapy with his wife. She told me later that my friend, let's call him Gary, has a drinking problem. Me, wait. What? Since when is Gary drinking? I never saw him drink alcohol. Her, that's the problem. Oh Gary, I hope you are fine now. Sounds like Shelly's marijuana problem. Who's Shelly? In the later seasons of South Park, Randy gets a weed farm, and his daughter Shelly has a problem with it. Oh, right. I totally forgot that. And you are right, it sounds the same, ha ha ha. I had a woman come in for couples counseling. Over the phone she reported that her boyfriend, with the same last name, very confusing, was distant and was refusing to listening. When the session started, it was just her that showed up. She went on and on about how absent he was and how he refused to see the progress she had been making in her life. It turns out the boyfriend was an ex who had a restraining order against her and lived halfway across the country from her. She was delusional and was receiving treatment for her mental health issues. She just could not get her thinking away from him and legally changed her last name to his because it would mean they would be together. She figured couples counseling was the way to work on their relationship issues. Edit, not sure this is the stupidest, but it is definitely the most bizarre reason I have had someone make an appointment. Whoa. How did you deal with her? We're now happily married with 3 kids. For a moment I thought that was the OP and I was like WTF. My cousin went to counseling because her husband cuts the sandwich straight inside of diagonal. When I first heard it, I thought it was a joke. My husband now is 32 and won't eat a sandwich unless cut diagonal. I made the mistake of cutting it straight once as a prank. It wasn't funny. You don't mess with his diagonal sandwiches. They do taste better. I tell my wife that cutting diagonally means love. So she cuts mine straight. Nothing is really stupid in making the decision to come in for a couples session. But the most startling session I've had was when the couple had barely sat down and one of them informed the other that the relationship was over, turned to me and said thank you for supporting, partner, through this and left the office. Jesus, that's cold. I think I would prefer that scenario over, we go to a fancy restaurant, so you can't scream at me. Oh, ho ho ho, you underestimate my ex. He'd scream and flip the table even at a nice restaurant.